Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Eddie Marcus here again, and I'm bringing to you a message from the almighty pond of truth, and the hope is that it will set you free, or at least help. I want to see if I can get us on the same page of thinking about stuff as wonderful as freedom. Each of us got a body. If we think about that body, there are a bunch of systems within that body. You got a bunch of organs in that body to make sure that those systems function as they should function in order to keep the spirit alive that keeps that body alive. And all of those organs and all of those systems operate for the common good of life. And all of that is housed and wrapped around with other additional properties such as ribs to protect certain organs, such as body, skin, and all of this to protect, and also the antibodies that are within the body to do all of these things to protect the body. So whoever put that body together was thinking deep, deep. Now, there are some other things that the body needs in order to survive, having put all of these special things together and created you. And that is some food, some shelter. These things are essential for your survival, but no one wants to tell you what kind of shelter you should have, whether it's a cave or a mansion. No, that's on you. Nobody should tell you what kind of food you should eat. That's on you, unless you're eating some stuff that's going to take you out of here. Then you know to quit that. And if you happen to run across something like that, I declare every last one of you want a doctor, want to be treated. And all of these things are basically essential for survival. Now, the other stuff that's within the body, we had nothing to do with putting that together. That was already put together by some power we can't see, touch, feel, but we are the evidence of it. Now, whether we have the health care and the education and the food and clothing and shelter and the other things, that's all dependent upon us. Now, we know if we work consistent with the powers that provided our being, then we would have the same harmony flowing within our human system that we have within our flesh and spirit system, our organ systems, our inner body system, how those things work. We would be just as consistent with that. In other words, this humanity we look at every day would be working fine. The fact that it's not working fine indicates that there's a cancer in it. The cancer in our bodies is identified. We get chemotherapy. We eat certain diets. We do everything we can to fix it, get rid of that stuff. And we should be doing the same thing to get rid of the cancer in our society that takes away our peace and our prosperity and our joy and our freedom and the fulfillment of our dreams. We should be getting rid of that. That is every free man's responsibility. Now, if you get tricked and totally deceived and can't see clear because you've got so much junk in your mind and in your heart, then you can't see it. But those who can see it owe it to you because you're so blind. Those who can see owe it to you to be the light in spite of your darkness. Yes, we do. Now, see, right now, listen, ladies and gentlemen, whatever our history is, it's there. We can't do anything to change that. But here we are today. And all we got to do is look out in front of us. Look at the President of the United States. He represents America. He represents white men. He represents white women. He represents black men. He represents black women. He represents the old, and he represents the young. And look at him. And based upon all the things you've been taught, for whatever reasons they were supposed to dignify a system of living that was far beyond what we see every day. How it's being dealt with. I mean, it's a mockery to everything we've been taught. And yet there are so many of us turning a blind side to that and going with this. And this is truly ugly. It is truly ugly. It shows the division in a family. It shows how one acts when they don't care about the rest of the members of the family. They just care about this one or that one. It shows how it divides. It shows how racism and hatred and bigotry exist. We can see it with our own eyes. But do we join it? Or do we just stand up as an alternative to it? But expect any great love? It is a challenge. But it is not a challenge when it comes to people who can see. Because they see that. It's not whether this Donald Trump represents you or not. I know you want to say he doesn't, but he does. Or whether you say, let's give us somebody else who's not so hardcore. That's what you've been having all the time. But I stand before you today, ladies and gentlemen, to tell you that that is not the only alternative. You have another alternative. It is led by the same spirit that put your body together, that is concerned about your body maintaining itself on this earth as if you are in heaven. That's a spirit you can't see, you can't touch, you can't feel, but it's all right there, ladies and gentlemen, waiting to be the fulfillment of your dreams, because every last one of you praying and desired every day. You've just been misled about how to achieve it. You've been led to believe it's in some power of some man, some pharaoh, some king, some queen, some prince, some president, some white man, some black man, some woman, some child, some old person. And ladies and gentlemen, all of those have been tried and not a single one of them has been successful. There's only one that I know of that's worth mentioning, that would bring it all together, and that's all of our prayers. It means that those of you who want to be God, those of you who are sitting behind the curtain, can bring yourself on from behind those curtains. Yeah, I know you know we are angry as we can be at how we've been misled and been treated by you. But at the same time, we understand as we didn't know any better, you didn't know any better. As we were dumb and ignorant enough to take it, so were you dumb and ignorant enough to deliver it. But now we are both free by truth. And that is the truth that there ain't but one power. And that's God Almighty, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are listening to me. If you ever want peace, you got to want peace for everybody, not just for you. If you ever want prosperity in your life, you got to want it for every human being on the face of the earth, not just you. If you ever want joy in your life, you got to want joy for every human being on the face of the earth, not just you. If you ever want your dreams to come true, you got to want the dreams of everybody on the individual earth to come true, not just you. That's the way love is. That's the way God is. And anything that takes away from that is anti-God. And whether you want to accept it or not, even though you have walked in ignorance all your life, I stand to tell you today, if your walk is not leading toward the light, then you are a part of the darkness. And I am here not to condemn you, but to tell you what the light is like, so you can understand that you are not like the light, and you can change your way if you for real. Now, I've been out here 40 years, and I've been talking the same conversation that I'm talking to you. I sought after the presidency 3 times, the United States Senate twice, governor of the state of Minnesota once, mayor of 2 different cities, Woodbury and St. Paul, Minnesota. And I've carried forward the same identical message. I've talked to people. You can imagine what I've done running for public office. as a write-in candidate because no mainstream wanted to deal with this particular truth, because this is not what the system is built on. The system is not built on the light. And for the system to operate, it operates on money. It has nothing to do with truth. As long as money prevails, the truth will change its course, but not with the light. And see, this is where America is today. This is where the world is today. And this is where the spirit of love is today, giving you an alternative. Giving you an alternative to go to those polls and write in Eddie Marcus. When you write my name in on that ballot to be the next president of the United States, you are saying that you are in agreement that this nation and you are supporting it for change. The change that answers our prayers. The change that brings justice. The change that brings freedom. You know the story. And that's coming to you from the light. And I think about how hard it seems for you to see something so simple as this. I know every last one of you want it. You've been wanting it since you were a baby. You got sidetracked because those who were teaching you, those who were living amongst you, those who have lived amongst you, represented something totally different from what your dream has been. And you determined that it was better to live in the real world than to live in the world of a dream. And so you forfeited the dream to live in hell. And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this hell thing is a dream. It's a dream for those who are so blinded, much more than you, but their blindness is no more damning to the status of life than you're accepting it. And both of us, as we have said, have been ignorant. And they're going out behind the curtains. We're not going to put you in jail. We're going to make sure that you have the sustenance that gives you the greatest pleasure in your indulgences in this life. You have to give up your power trying to control people, though. That goes back to God. Those of you who have been suffering, by George, now is the time for you to at least smile, because suffering is no fun. Suffering is nothing that anyone wants to go through, but we find ourselves having to go through it. But we now have the opportunity to do everything that we as human beings who have said that we would allow the spirit of love to be generated in our being, and that we will reflect an outflow of love in the steps and in our words that would produce the kind of heaven on earth that we so desire. And that is our choice. That is our choice. So, ladies and gentlemen, having said that, I want you to know that doesn't mean that we are going to become the next president of the United States. No, the world, America might not be ready for that yet. But it doesn't mean that we have to turn in and become a part of that which we have said is darkness. The light must always shine unless the darkness put it out. And I don't think darkness don't want to come where the light is. Let me say it to you one more time. The only thing that can put truth out is if darkness overcomes it. But darkness knows the secret. And darkness don't want to get anything near the light. Because then you will know the truth. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you so very much for giving me this your time. For 2 days, I think this is the second day, I had said nothing to you. I'd just been frozen in time, trying to understand why in all of this, I stand before you and I look at you. Even though I'm looking at you through this camera, I see you. In my mind, I see all of you. And I see this wonderful message of love that I'm sharing with you, not mine, but a gift from the Almighty God. I just cannot believe that I can be this loving. So I have to give this to something else. I have to give this to God. No, this loving, as this love that I'm sharing with you that is available to you, no, none of you feel that way, do you? Are you out here trying to change the world like that? No, you're not. So I'm one of you. So this got to be God. So I'm saying I'm willing to accept it. And I'm saying to you that your acceptance to it is the thing that frees us all. It's the thing that frees us all. And yes, we have all been in darkness, but this God of love here is not trying to punish us, because we're punishing ourselves all the time. Every day we go through this stuff, we're punishing ourselves. We're denying ourselves life. And it is, and through the awakening, you start talking about everlasting life. You start talking about that youth stuff forever. You got to wake up. We're missing life. We are missing life. Take a chance, ladies and gentlemen. Have faith. Take a chance. You know where this road is taking us. Choose to go someplace else. And this program calls for you to put a hand in it. So nobody will be saying they're tricking you. The thing that you're going to put your hand in doing is that thing that is most enjoyable to you, that gives you your greatest pleasure. That's a gift that was given to you from the beginning, that you brought with you, which is to serve as your contribution in this life. And heaven needs it. So, come on, darkness. You got to be exposed so we can all live. Goodbye.